Hey everybody, welcome back to Algebra I. Today's edition, we're going to solve the quadratic formula. That's right, we're going to use this formula and we're going to solve today. Yeah, oh yeah. So remember, we're going to identify A, B, and C, right? A has to be in standard form. B has to be on one side of the equal sign with A. And that weirdo, C, he also needs to be over there, right? So then that way we can plug them into the formula. So it goes B, B, I say A, and then go down here to the bottom with A. And then don't forget about the weirdo, C. All right? So then I substitute into the formula, right, for A, B, and C. And then today I'm going to calculate my solution and I'm going to check the answer on the graph. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look. Is it in standard form? Yeah, it's in standard form. Of course, look at that. It equals 0. How about that? So it's in standard form. Let's make this a 1. Okay, and we'll go ahead and we'll say A equals 1, B equals 4, and C equals 3. So we have A, that's my pink highlighter, B, my green highlighter, and for the weirdo, okay, so I'm going to plug into my formula and then we're going to actually solve this thing today. So it goes like this: x equals negative parentheses plus or minus. Then we have our little square root thingy. Okay, we're going to put all of that over 2 parentheses. What goes inside? That's parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses parentheses. Okay, so now we're ready to plug our numbers in. So if you remember, B, B, A, C, and A. So plug my numbers in. I've got 4 that goes here, 4 that goes here, 1 that goes here, 1 goes down there, and don't forget about the weirdo, 3. So here's how I would do this. We're going to break this into 3 different sections. The first section that we're going to do is we're going to type this in and simplify this. So we're going to get x equals, all right, what is negative parentheses 4? Now that makes sense. It's just the opposite. So this is going to be negative 4. All right. Then we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to simplify this. We're going to take 2 and multiply it with 1. Again, you can type this into the computer just as you see it if you're not sure what 2 times 1 is. So that's 2. So the bottom is going to read 2. All right. Now here's what I want, and this is where a lot of people get confused. I want everything underneath this square root. So I just have one number underneath the square root. All right, so what we're going to type is this piece right here. So it starts off with parentheses, then I put a 4, then I square it, minus 4, and then in the first parentheses I'm going to put a 1, in the second parentheses, that's the weirdo, I'm going to put a 3. And so now I'm going to say this is 4. So everything underneath that is 4. So notice this plus minus thing. This plus minus tells us that we're going to actually have 2 answers, okay? 2 answers. Our first answer is going to be negative 4 plus whatever the square root of 4 is over 2. And then we're also going to have negative 4 minus whatever the square root of 4 is over 2. So here's how we do this now. What is the square root of 4? Is it pretty? Hey, that is pretty. It becomes 2. So I have positive 2 and negative 2. All right, so what would be my answer for this one? Start with the division sign and type exactly what you see. Plus 2. And then at the bottom, we'll type 2. And that gives me negative 1. So my exact solution set where this is going to cross is at -1, and then the other one is -2. So you can just go over here, make that a minus, and so now it reads -3. So that's solving using the quadratic formula. What if I graphed this line? So we have 1x squared plus 4x plus 3. Does it cross at what? Oh, 3. 3, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 3. Does this cross at -1 and -3? Yes, it does. So there's actually no approximate solution either. So the answer for this one is -1. The answer for this one is -3. So we don't have that. All right, let's take a look at a couple more problems, and then, yeah, hopefully you'll be all set and ready to go. All right, so notice this one's not in standard form. What do I need to do? I need to move this guy over, right? He needs to become a positive 13. So this will read 2x squared plus 11x, now plus 13 equals 0. And so now I can determine what A, B, and C are. A is 2, B is 11, C is 13. All right, so what goes first? B, 11, 11, 2. At the bottom, 2. Don't forget about the weirdo, 13. All right, so we're going to do the opposite of this. All right, so we got to make sure that we put the 1 there. Wow, okay, whatever. All right, so in order to do that, I didn't even notice it on the last one, so that'll make the -11. All right, and then at the bottom we have 2 times 2, which is going to be 4. Okay, so now we just need to figure out what's going to be underneath the square root. So, parentheses 11 squared minus 4, parentheses 2, parentheses 13. And now that reads 17. So, we're going to have 2 answers, one with a plus and one with a minus. All right, this one's going to be over 4, that one's going to be over 4, this is -11 there, that's -11 there. So now the question is, what is the square root of 17? Is it pretty? No, it's not pretty, so I'm going to actually just write it as square root 17, leave it like this. So my exact solution would be -11. You could write it plus or minus 17 over 4. But then I want my approximate solution. So my approximate solution is going to be whatever this is typed as a decimal. So we're going to type the square root of 17 over 4, which is that guy. And then we can also do the minus, which is that guy. How do I know if it's right? Well, let's type our equation in and see where it crosses, and then see if we can turn this into the same poopy decimals. All right, so we have this. There's the 3.8 whatever, and there's the -1.79. So in other words, if I change this back to a plus, you'll see this answer. All right, so there's your 2 answers. So your exact answer for the plus sign is -1.719. And then your other solution, and again, this is an approximation. This is where x actually equals. And this would be, let's see, with the minus sign, it is -3.781. And so that would be my solution set. All right, let's take a look at another one. Here we go. We got 7x squared equals 2x plus 10. It doesn't really matter which direction you go. I kind of like keeping. In fact, we could do this. We'll make him go over here. So if he goes over there, he's a negative 7x squared. So what would that read? Well, that's going to read negative 7x squared plus 2x plus 10. And I'm going to write the equals 0 over here. That way it just makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to do A, B, and C. A, negative 7, B, 2, C, 10. X equals negative parentheses plus minus square root parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses parentheses all over 2 parentheses. B is 2. B is 2. A is negative 7. And C is 10, the weirdo. So now we will type, that will be opposite, which is negative 2. At the bottom, 2 and negative 7 multiplied is negative 14. And underneath the square root, we have 2, parentheses 2 squared minus 4 parentheses negative 7 and then 10. And that's 284. So, what is the square root of 284? Something poopy. So, we're going to leave it. This is my exact solution. Is going to read negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 284 all over negative 14. My approximate solution will be whatever this is typed in at. So, whatever this poopy entire piece becomes. Negative 1.06, and then the other one is going to be 1.34. All right, so what is the difference, if we want to know? What is the difference between an exact solution and an approximate? Well, an exact solution means that you're just going to have one number. Okay? Approximate means it's a guess. Close enough. And most likely will look poopy. Okay? All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll check you next time.